Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Critical Thoughts. I'm your host, Braxton Smith, and with me is co-host and alcoholic Jake Bird. Today is June 8th, 2018, and today, as promised, we are presenting our rebuttal to the Facebook censorship threat. Now, if you haven't seen our recent posts lately, have obviously caught a lot of flack. This actually took me totally off guard because I'm like, sitting over here, we're Critical Thoughts, sitting here with a very astounding 150 plus followers now. We're in the triple digits. But still, I'm thinking we're kind of a minnow in the big pond. I'm kind of surprised this is happening. I started getting messages from friends. They're telling me, hey, check this out. Facebook's calling you fake news. In fact, I'll go ahead and show you one right now. Where is it? There it is. I'm going to bring it up to you. One of the messages one of them sent me was this deal right here. It says, content shared by Critical Thoughts has been reviewed by PolitiFact and rated as false. Did you get that, Jake? Could you see it?
Yeah, you're going to need to bring up the screen.
Oh, okay. So there it is. There you have it. There's that screenshot. Proof positive, right? So, what we're going to do here is talk about how this is happening and all the implications, and basically where Facebook is now presenting itself. Facebook with its pals PolitiFact and what's the other? Snopes. Yeah, how they're the arbiters of truth. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the implications with the censorship, and then we're going to give you some alternatives. First, we're going to get into exactly why, what our post was. We're going to justify our claims, unlike Snopes and PolitiFact. We're just going to go ahead and rip into shreds, and none other better than Jake Bird to do that. He's got us some pretty good evidence here. Jake, go ahead and take it away.
All right, well, I figure we might as well go back to where it all started. So, first things up, this is the article in question. Now, with PolitiFact, they actually did another one. I think it was for like the Federalist Papers or some place like that. But it's essentially the same content, right? It's now against the law in California to shower and do laundry on the same day. And where it talks about the recent laws that got passed by Governor Jerry Brown. The two main ones is, Republican, Democrat, it doesn't really matter to us. It's just, I guess to qualify this, we posted it mainly because of how shocked we were about it. I mean, I can't say for sure that there isn't a bad enough experience of drought in that state that talks like these might not be seen as, inevitable or something like that. But, just one day seeing it on here on the page and just reading what they're wanting to do about it sounds very draconian just right off the bat. And we just wanted people to know about it. But it's the Senate Bill 606, the Assembly Bill 1668. One of them sets up the governing body that's going to be determining how these water suppliers actually and utility companies, the limits that they're going to be putting out volumes of water within the state. And the Assembly bill pretty much goes over more of the meat, as they've got an excerpt right here saying that it's going to establish a cap of 55 gallons per capita daily as the standard for indoor residential water use. So, that's 55 gallons per day per person that the urban retailers for water are going to have to impose onto people. And they kind of mished and mashed it, but it also says that, this bill will impose civil liability for a violation of this order or regulation. And then it goes into So in the basic calculations, 8-minute showers like 17 gallons, load of laundry is 40 gallons. This one right here is a little suspect. The bathtub holds 80 to 100 gallons of water, and we'll get into that later. But it's basically, okay, here's the limits, and down here it goes into the charges right here. On a drastic day, a state of emergency, it'll be $10,000 each day for each offense. And then for any regular violation, just, a measly $1,000 each day. Chump change.
Yeah, I didn't even know that. I thought it was just 1,000 straight up. But yeah, so if it's considered during dry spells, they can charge you with 10,000. But on a day where, say, water isn't an issue, they can still hit you with $1,000 fine if you aren't keeping a close eye on your meter and you happen to go over.
Yeah, and it says pretty much right here, when the governor issues a state of emergency, that's when the 10,000 kicks in.
And California's got to get their money somehow, dude. They're going bankrupt. All the productive people are leaving, and now they got this huge disparagement between the rich and the poor to make up for. So, yeah, I get it.
Okay, so here's the thing they're wanting to debate. Does the law actually say it's illegal to shower and do laundry on the same day? Well, as you've read from the excerpts, no, it doesn't deal especially with that, but we're talking about 55 gallons per day per person. And here, it's from the USGS. It's a little out of date. It's from December 2016. But the average use for each person is around 80 to 100 gallons of water per day, but that's factoring both indoor and outdoor. So you're coming up with the limit of 55 gallons, that's anywhere from 50% to, let's say, maybe 40% reduction?
Yeah, so I mean, all you gotta do is, you got a whole list of things to choose from there. So what's important to you? It gives you an opportunity to think about what's really important in life. Is what you can take from it.
And then, it says 17 gallons for an 8-minute shower. I don't know about most people, but I tend to like to take at least 10 minutes for a shower.
Yeah. And that's the thing, Jake, is if you really want to be good about it, you pre-lather before you go in. You pre-lather and then turn on the water, jump in. It's going to be cold for a couple of minutes, but hey, do you want a $1,000 fine or a cold shower?
Yeah, doing it military style, like a barbarian.
Or a commie. It's almost
but, I mean, okay, so technically, is it really against the law? No. I mean, if you've got all the energy efficient equipment, if you really don't wash dishes that day or do any personal grooming or anything like that, if it's only one load of clothes, you might be able to squeak by. But, that's another thing. Over time, that limit is going to drop down to 50 gallons, but, okay, there you go. Technically, no. You don't have to, but considering it easily adds up to around 47 gallons if it's just an old clothes washer and an 8-minute shower, there's your 3 gallons of allowance for everything else. Cooking, brushing your teeth.
Well, maybe you shouldn't be poor. That's incentive to be richer so that you can afford the high efficiency appliances so you can do more things.
Well, it's not even an issue of poverty. I mean, what about the elderly? What about the young kids? Sometimes it takes a little bit more time to actually corral them to take a bath. What about the disabled?
Yeah, well, they had their chance and they had their time on this earth, so maybe we can just euthanize them. There you go.
So, there's that. Now, the other issue that Snopes and PolitiFact bring up is, well, okay, they say there's civil liability, but they're talking about the urban water providers. So it doesn't necessarily charge the customers. And there's three options right here, because again, if you just look at the legislation itself, okay, you can say that, but we're reasonable people, and we have a little bit more information, and with regards to civil law and with basic economics, and it turns out there's probably three solutions to this. Well, actually four. You can do some combination of the other three, but it'll pretty much go like this. If someone uses too much, or a group of people use too much, said water utility company goes to court, gets fined. They will then take the cost of that and then spread it to its customers. Just dole it out that way, which actually, to PolitiFact's credit, they mentioned this theoretical possibility. But I assure you it's not theoretical, because everybody's been here. That's one of the main reasons why, for instance, oil companies and stuff, when one of their rigs goes down and the price goes up, part of it's supply, but another part of it is they got to recoup their losses. And we see the gasoline go up. Another answer deals with the actual civil law, and that's, okay, company gets charged for the fine, but they have the water meters. They can prove who the bad actors are, and so they can take them to court. They can do a tort suit. They can go, it wasn't our responsibility in good faith of justice to have this done, but we were charged by the law. Now we can pass it to the people that actually did it. And then the third answer is, they just go ahead and try to put some sort of valve control system in for each distribution house, plug in the 55 gallons per day per person calculation using census numbers, and whenever it just hits that number, it shuts off for the day.
Yeah, just hope you don't get sprayed by a skunk or something. Just hope nothing bad happens to you. Yeah. Otherwise,
you're not lathered up and trying to get it out, and you forgot that you did 3 loads that day.
Whoopsie.
And I mean, that one has the advantage of technically you'd never be able to break the law for this regulation, but I'm pretty sure the customers won't be satisfied, as we were hinting to. And I'm pretty sure some of them might even be tempted to fiddle with the mechanics to try to find some reach-arounds.
He said reach-arounds. That's how I get my free internet, actually. Not reach-arounds, but, getting around those obstacles the utility companies put in the way. But, surely PolitiFact, I'm sure PolitiFact and Snopes, though, they were so... I'm not seeing anything wrong with the article. We just proved that the article is, for the most part, correct, completely reasonable in everything they said. So PolitiFact and Snopes, I'm sure they updated it. Let's go ahead and check that out real quick. Where they updated to say this is mostly true. I'll give them that, maybe. Best case scenario. I'm sure they said it was true, though. Right?
Well, it's funny. See, we've got Snopes right here. Forgive me. For some reason, my computer wants to be a little slow. Oh. No, not yet.
Huh. I'm sure they have a perfectly reasonable explanation why they rated it mostly false. Maybe something we overlooked.
Well, Brax, as they say, I mean, technically, is it illegal? Did they write those words into the paragraph? I mean, if you have to think to come to these conclusions, obviously it's got to be false news, right? Fake news. You had to think about it. But the funny thing I find is with PolitiFact, they actually, like I said, cover a little bit more information. They even go with the theoretical passing on the fines to the customers through service charges, but got a false rating right there.
So but PolitiFact, I'm sure they only have a false or true, right? There's no in between. So I'm sure they were kind of
true, mostly true, half true.
Huh. And they went with completely false. Well, at least it wasn't pants on fire.
Yeah,
I guess. How generous of them.
There's a little bit of merit, apparently. You know, basic English or something like that. I guess you've got have a PhD in civil law and do these and talk about this to get it above into mostly false. Can't just be some site on the internet.
Yeah, last thing you want is a bunch of upstarts in the independent media overthrowing the mainstream media. Then all of a sudden you lose control of the narrative. So
now, originally I was really incensed about this, but Brax brought up one of the comments that we had before, and it's basically went along the lines of, well, you know, Snopes and PolitiFact, they're actually, I like that they put Pundit Fact right up there, and that's a little telling right there. But anyways, they're just he's saying they're arbiters of the truth, but, you know, they're just presenting the information out there, and, you know, they're giving their take on it, and it's your due diligence to actually read through it all and to see where it goes. And I have to say, on one hand, that is true. No matter what, it is your due diligence. But the issue that I have with it, and it's the issue that Facebook seems to stand on, is that PolitiFact and Snopes, they don't just come off as, well, this is our opinion. This is the opinion in a newspaper or something like that. Someone's just going on how they read it. What are they? They're supposed to be filtering the fake news. They're supposed to be the ones actually doing all the due diligence, and you can hold them accountable for it because they've done all the research, they're reading it, and whatever they say, it's almost as good as gold, if not better.
I mean, it's what CNN uses to fact check, so, I mean, how can it be wrong? It's infallible, right?
But, you know, and that's the main thing with me. If you're going to appear as an arbiter of truth, if you're going to be used as an arbiter of truth, then you've got to be held to a higher standard than just, I don't know, two people with 150 followers on the internet that apparently know how to look a little bit more into the economics and the civil law of things and read between the lines or read outside the box. But, you know, whatever. That's Facebook's right to do what they want. But if they get a little blowback, because it seems like they're trying to shove their head where the sun doesn't shine, then that's their load to carry. That's their burden for doing it this way.
Yeah, and I think my biggest beef, I guess, with PolitiFact and Snopes coming together is they put this out there, and unfortunately what a lot of people do when they look at it is they look at it and they just dismiss the entire article. They say, oh, the whole thing's false because these, you know, the infallible ones claim it to be false, and they don't even go on to read, and a lot of people don't even go in to read that PolitiFact and Snopes is just basically arguing semantics. They're just they are able to find a way to twist it and say, well, technically it's false, and when we say false, completely false. It's not even a mostly false or that's like, I figured that's what those other ratings were reserved for, is where it's like, well, I mean, yeah, it's mostly true. It's got a little bit of, because I'll admit it's got a little bit of a slant on it. You could sell mostly true to me and I'd let it slide, even half true. But to say it's just outright false is just a fallacy in of itself.
Yeah, and like I said, the whole, what was it, 80 to 100 gallons of water in a bathtub, I don't know where the hell they pulled that from.
That's a big-ass bathtub.
And so, yeah, that's questionable, but you can check these individual numbers. And if anything, what they should have done in this is, because they go straight to, well, the customers are going to have to pay for this, and they don't explain it. They could have been more thorough. They could have actually drawn the lines, and that kind of gave the opening for Snopes and PolitiFact to go, well, actually, because I can read the text of this document and ignore economics and civil law, it doesn't say it in here, right? I mean, if anything, I'm pretty sure when the people were presenting this on the floor, it's like, in order to help the people and better their lives, we try to pass this bill. And it's like, well, I'm sure it's going to help some people. And I'm sure something needs to be done about this drought, but when you're talking $10,000 a day or $1,000 a day for each offense, for each day, that, I don't know about other people, but I think that would put a little chink in my wallet. I'm sure that'd put a chink in a lot of people's wallets.
Yeah. Well, I think we've pretty much explained how completely inaccurate PolitiFact and Snopes is with their ruling on this. Now let's talk for a moment about how Facebook is using this information. So here we have, I'm going to share on my screen, here we have the little message one of our admin got. For some reason I haven't got this one yet. And okay, I'll get into it in a second. I haven't received this. Okay, I'm surprised I haven't been made aware of this, but it says right here, to fight false news, Facebook removes inauthentic actors from the platform and provides additional reporting around content that may be misleading. Pages or domains that continue to publish or share false news will see their distribution reduced as the number of offensive increases. Their ability to monetize and advertise will be removed after repeated offenses. So, it's just so weird about it. Is like they're basically talking about completely censoring us. How many of you have seen us in your news feed? You probably won't see this in your news feed. I'm sure you won't. But it's funny that I get this from one of my other admin, but then I myself, when I go to the page, let's see if we can get lucky, and will it show it? No, it's not going to show it, of course. But I swear to God, every time I pull my page up, I get this little advertisement where they're like, hey, and it's on the exact post that they just reamed one of our other admins about, saying, don't post this, basically. They're saying, hey, if you want to get this out to more people, give us $30. It's like mixed messages. That's one beef I have with them. Two is the fact that Facebook is just supposed to be a neutral media platform. That's the way it sells itself. And yet it's siding with people that are clearly slanted to the left. And if you need more proof out there, I mean, I'm pretty sure the post that we just put up recently made that abundantly clear, that right-leaning messages, and is ever so slightly right, won't be tolerated. Because that's just it. It's just this little article about a little something going on in California, shared by a little page known as Critical Thoughts, and Facebook is dropping the hammer on this. But I'm sure they're that fair with everybody. I'm sure Occupy Democrats has had plenty of warnings, which if you look up their page, I think to date they still have yet to post a single true article. I mean, they are so disgustingly slanted left. I mean, beyond commie. Mental gymnastics you got to go through to try and put together whatever false narrative they're putting out. I'm sure if you bring them up right now, their page is still running. I'm sure they haven't received a single message saying to shut that down. It bothers me that Facebook is this monopoly on social media, and they make the claim that they're neutral, but they're not. And that's why we need to seek alternatives, which we'll get into later. I was just going to let you, Jake, if you want to throw in some comments on Facebook censoring alternate voices.
Yeah, it's just... It's like you said, it's got a bias, and I guess I need to be quick to say we're talking of PolitiFact and Snopes kinda in the realm of absolute. They're all one way with their bias and stuff. Obviously not if Occupy Democrats can get no true followings from whatever limited posts that they've actually checked. There's going to be some mix and match, but the main problem I have with it is they're approached as arbiters, they're treated as arbiters, and then, you know, it's like all the words about bias and being objective and truthful that they might throw to people our way suddenly vanishes now. And we're just supposed to accept it when it comes to whatever particular slop they want to throw our way. And that's more the main thing about it. If you're going to have some sort of, you know, righteous indignation and say you should be able to police your site, which to a degree I think you should, but if you're going to police it, if you're going to try to establish a justice when it comes to facts and truth and reality, then it has to be justice. It has to be fair. It's got to be balanced. It's got to be truly truthful and objective, and you don't get to just punish the people you don't like and then the other ones, you know, just whoops, didn't see that.
Mm-hmm. And then on top of that, my other beef is that the fact that they feel that we, the people, the people that subscribe to Facebook, they feel we're too stupid to figure this out ourselves. So they have to do it for us. It's all compulsory. It's like me, whenever I go on to Gab, the free media site, I see people posting spam. I see people posting just these disgusting posts. All I got to do is mute them, and I never got to see them again. It should be up to the individuals to decide what's true and what's false. Them coming in and just saying, "No, you're too stupid." I mean, that's just it's a common theme. It's systemic with a lot of these leftist views. Is that the masses are too stupid. We have all the answers. Let us do the thinking and show you what's important. It's like here, you know, Critical Thoughts. We offer dialogue. We get flack from probably one of our biggest fans. He gives us flack all the time. We have our dialogue, but we don't kick him out of the group. We don't shut him down. We don't silence him. We give him a lot of flack back for sure. I like jostling him a bit and throwing a few jabs, but at the end of the day, you know, we shake hands and we walk away.
Well, that sounds like a very commie cuck thing for you to do, Braggs. How dare you? How dare you? You're not a true liberty lover.
Yeah, well. Anyway, I take it you don't have any more to say about Facebook and censoring. I kind of feel like we're beating a dead horse on that one.
I am going to show one thing right now. I did some searching, and this is all Facebook really says about this whole false news thing. This is their article in the help area. And it's pretty much just a little bit of a restating of that blurb you saying, you know, because as content providers, when they say, well, if you show these things multiple times, we're going to reduce your ability to monetize and advertise, and we're going to start cutting down on your distribution. Well, how many offenses? How many times? How much are you going to cut on it? What's the actual penalties? And you get nothing.
Jake, you just follow the rules that they set. You just post the material they approve of, and you don't have to worry about this stuff. But let's get real, though. We were never on anybody's news feed, except our own when they're trying to convince us to advertise. Which I kind of wonder how much of that actually ended up on anybody's news feed. Because I tell you what's crazy. Here's the crazy part about it. I wanted to give a shout out to everybody. I shared this on my Facebook page. I want to get a shout out to everybody that actually interacted with that. And we actually picked up 2 people off of this whole thing. Like them trying to censor us actually gained us 2 followers right off the bat. And I'm sure there'll be more to come. But that was actually more than any amount of money we've tried to put into advertisements trying to get the message of liberty out there is useless. It's a lot better if they just try to censor us. You know, they went from ignoring us and now they're attacking us, and I think we might build steam up on this. And
yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny. Earlier we were talking about, how we thought maybe this bad publicity was actually a blessing in disguise, and the more I think about it, the more I think about the truism when it comes to like morality and stuff. If someone just rails at you and tries to shame you in that way, going, "Oh, you're not doing what I want you to do," unless you did something actually wrong, unless you did something morally unjust, if you are not in the wrong, it's not shame. It's just them preaching and prattling about their own perspective and thinking they can use some sort of moral high ground to denounce you. If you do something wrong, then it is shameful, but it will be shameful because it is something wrong. Someone can look at that and make the argument this is wrong, not just because someone waggled their finger at you. And I think that's why we're getting this bump too. We're seeing in the culture a lot of times there's people just complaining about things and trying to go, well, this is wrong, or there ought to be a law, or it's against the Constitution. But what's the argument for their case? There is none. And then there'll be people that actually do what we're doing. They'll say, this is our platform, this is how we saw it, here's the facts that we tie together to make our case, we make a point, and it stands. And so
faith in humanity is restored.
Today.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so far so good. I don't see the pattern changing. But so if you're still tuned in, we're 32 minutes in. So obviously, if you're still tuned in, you care enough to be concerned with all this, and we just want those still tuning in now to know that there is an alternative. We aren't just going to keep telling you about dooms and glooms and not have a solution for you. And this is something we've been looking into for a long time. It's like I was telling Jake, our Facebook page, I mean, I'm not really into Facebook. I kind of been moving away from Facebook just because I hate what's going on. Anymore, I kind of consider our Critical Thoughts page like the Nebuchadnezzar. And if it goes down, we've got to have other alternatives. We've had several people voice their concerns to us saying, well, if your Facebook page goes down, what happens? And then they just now find out about our YouTube page. But YouTube's owned by Gulag, so I'm sure it won't be long before they censor us there too. So this is where we really need to start looking into alternatives. And unfortunately, we are very limited with those. But we do have iTunes is one place we have an outlet. Most of these are probably better off listened to. This is one of those where it's probably a little better to be in video format, but it's still something you can listen to. This is going to be probably our first video that we'll be posting on a site called Steemit. It's a ANCAP social media site. It's not really ANCAP, but it's like ANCAP model, if you will. It's very capitalistic. I dig it. It's totally revolutionary, using cryptocurrency to kind of like put your money where your mouth is, if you will. I'll give more details on that. We're going to give you links. Not only is there Steam, but there's also Gab. We haven't set up anything on Gab yet, but we're looking into it. And we have a few podcast pages. Jake, what was one of the ones that?
SoundCloud.
SoundCloud, yeah. So we're going to be putting links to all these alternatives below. And in the event that we do get shut down here, you can escape this shithole and move somewhere where it's free. Kind of like in the rest of the world where freedom starts to shut down. Where does everybody flee to? America, the land of the free, right? For the most part. We're trying to keep it that way. Trying to bring it back to it. But, yeah, I think that's actually about all I got for the video, Jake, if you just want to put in your last 2 cents before we close it up.
We're going to keep trying to find more options. Like Breck said, we're going to be trying to post all of our content more often on every site that it's applicable to. And if you got any more questions, what we went over, we'll put links in the video and make sure we handle any of your questions and concerns.
All right, and with that being said, thank you again for tapping into Critical Thoughts, breaking through the white noise to bring you the media that matters.